Hello, everybody. Welcome to 21 Days Until Christmas. So today is December 9th. So that means it's 16 days till Christmas. And my guest today is Judi Moreo, and she's going to share with us what is Christmas for her, her memories, and how she feels around this time in the year. Welcome, Judy.
Thank you for having me. This will be fun. It's Memories of Christmas are always very, very good for me. I grew up in a really large family, and so Christmas was quite a celebration when I was growing up. Of course, uh, when I was young, was not too long after World War II. So Christmas was quite different then than it is today. People didn't go out and buy gifts as much as we made gifts. We made something for everyone in the family. Each person made something for everyone else. So that was kind of really special. And then we always put our Christmas tree up on Thanksgiving Day. That way we put it up on Thanksgiving Day and we would have it up the whole month. And then on New Year's Day, we took it down. And so it was the whole month of December was like Christmas for me, having the tree up. And I had three sisters and a brother who lived at home when I was little. And my brother would always take me on Christmas Eve. My brother would always take me somewhere so Santa Claus could come on Christmas Eve. And because we lived next to this great big church, very often he would bundle me all up in a big coat and scarf and everything. And he would take me over to this church and we would sit on the steps and wait and see if we could spot Santa in the sky. And of course, I always saw Santa and the reindeer in the sky. I always saw them. And my brother told me later in life that it was clouds and I had a vivid imagination. But so we'd be over there, and for some reason, Santa would fly through the sky. And then when we would go home, he would have been in the house and gone already. And he would have eaten the cookies we left out for him and drank the hot chocolate. And so I was really into that. I thought it was pretty wonderful. But a lot of times were tough back then, and there wasn't a lot of money to be had. And I remember one year I wanted this camera, this Brownie camera, and I wanted it so bad. And my parents were really struggling for money at that time. And my mother worked right up till midnight Christmas Eve to make enough money to go to the drugstore at 24-hour drugstore and buy that camera and get it wrapped up and have it under the tree for me on Christmas Day. So I know it was a lot of times there was sacrifice, in the family in order to give us the things that we wanted. And I always thought we were rich. We got everything I wanted. My sister thought we were poor. We lived in the same house, so I don't know which was which. But decorating the tree was always very special for us because most of the ornaments we had back then were ornaments that we made, and we had to hang tinsel. I don't know if people remember tinsel, but we used to have this tinsel. They were like icicles, and it was like aluminum, this long strings of aluminum, and they had to be hung on the tree one by one. And I would stand way back and throw handfuls of them at the tree and pray they would hit right. And of course, my sisters and my brother would all get upset because they had to have them hang just perfect, and I was making a big mess. But I think I had more fun than they did. So. And I mean, even back then, they would pop popcorn, and we would string popcorn and put it around the tree. I don't string popcorn anymore. I still put my Christmas tree up on Thanksgiving Day, even though all the members of my family have passed away now. My friend Peter came over on Thanksgiving Day, and he and I put up the tree. And he said he hadn't put up a tree in a couple of years, and he had a lot of fun helping me do that. And what was really fun was going through the ornaments, because I still have the ornaments that my brother made out of wood. He made little bird houses out of wood to hang on the tree, and he made little reindeers, and they had little pieces of wood they have little stick legs and little stick antlers, and some of them are broken, but I still have those. And then I had some ceramic things that my sister had made when she was in school, and there were little elves, and I don't have all the elves anymore. I only have about 5 elves left, but my mother made these little elves out of felt, and she cut them out, and then she pasted on their eyes and their hat and their little vest, and they're really cute. And I still have 5 of those. And I noticed the other day that my cat had gotten up on the end of the couch and was stretching, reaching way up into the tree, trying to get one of those elves. And sure enough, she got that little elf down off of that tree without knocking my tree over. I don't know how she did it, but those are the really cool memories, and I keep them because I want to have those memories every year when I decorate the tree. I have friends that they buy trees already decorated, or they go out every year and they buy all one color bulb or something, and I think those trees are beautiful. But I like my old fashioned tree with all my old balls that were, when I was growing up. I keep those.
That's awesome. It just revives your memories, right? When you
Yeah,
touch them.
it kind of makes me feel like my family's still here with me, now that they're gone. I like having them with me. But some of my most memorable Christmases were spent in South Africa. When I lived in South Africa, people would invite me to their home for Christmas. And of course, at Christmas time in South Africa, it's summer. And so it's hot. So we were wearing shorts and T-shirts, and the food was totally different. We had a barbecue. They call it a braai, and they would have this barbecue outdoors on Christmas Day. And my one friend's mother was so cute. She decided that she would make pumpkin pie for me because she knew that in America we had pumpkin pie. Well, they don't have pumpkins like our pumpkins in South Africa. They only have squash, like butternut squash. So she made this pumpkin pie with this butternut squash, and she put chocolate sprinkles all on the top of it. And it was quite unique tasting. It wasn't wonderful, but I appreciated the fact that she went to all the trouble to try to make me something from home. And we drank a lot of champagne, and I don't know why, but one Christmas when I was there, and my friends and I were all out in the front yard, and the yard kind of went down. It had like a hill, and we drank so much champagne, and then we all decided we would roll down the hill. We would lay on our side and we would see who could roll the fastest down the hill. And for some reason, between drinking that champagne and rolling down the hill, I passed out, and I missed all the rest of Christmas Day because I was asleep in the bed. So that was a unique experience. And the other thing was to go. The American Chamber of Commerce always had a meal for us, for the Americans that lived over there at the time, and it was really cute because I had never had cranberry sauce on ice cream before, but they didn't know what to do with the cranberry sauce, so they warmed it up and poured it over the ice cream, and that was quite unique. So I've had some very unusual Christmases.
Do you still do cranberry sauce on ice cream?
No. one time was enough for that. One time.
Okay.
Yeah. Now in Texas, where I lived growing up, we lived about 9 miles from the Mexican border in a little town called Mercedes, Texas. And so consequently, it was quite warm there at Christmas time as well. It wasn't, might get cold enough for a jacket and a scarf, but it wasn't like up north where they have snow and everything. I don't think I've ever had a white Christmas ever, but I might have been, we might have driven up here to Mount Charleston a couple of years on Christmas time, but to actually have it snow, come down where you lived, I haven't had that. But in South Texas, when we had Christmas, we didn't have turkey. We had homemade tamales for Christmas dinner. And so that was really kind of a tradition. So even today, I still make tamales for Christmas. If I have company, I'll have people over, and people think that's quite unusual, but that's what we did growing up. That was because homemade tamales were a real specialty. It wasn't something we did every day because it's quite a big job to make those tamales. And so we just had those on special occasions like Thanksgiving and Christmas. And we didn't have to eat turkey every single year, which was really nice.
Yeah, tamales is a better way of going because you have varieties of what you can have. It just depends what you want to make.
Yeah, we always had turkey. We did have turkey tamales, but we also had pork tamales and chicken tamales and cheese tamales, and and there was always quite a big array. And we always had flan, which was really cool. And so my Christmases have been quite eclectic. You know, I've been in different parts of the world at different times over the years and had different Christmases, but they, it always comes back to the memories of growing up and having an older brother who always took me out to look for Santa Claus. In fact, what's really funny is probably on Christmas Eve, you'll find me out walking around the neighborhood looking at the sky, waiting to see if my Santa clouds come by or not.
That's really funny. What will people say to you when they saw you out there?
Oh, they don't say anything. They just speak to me, just hello, how are you? You know, and nobody thinks I'm strange just because I'm out there looking for Santa Claus. They probably would now that I'm old. They'd probably say, "Who's that old lady and what's she doing out there?" You know, she's probably eccentric or something. You know, but no, I still really like Christmas Eve, and I like to go to church on Christmas Eve. We used to go to midnight mass as well on Christmas Eve, and even though I didn't grow up Catholic, my family always went to midnight mass. I did become a Catholic when I married my husband, and so that continued as a process for me to go there. And then, of course, later we were divorced, and I didn't continue going to the Catholic Church. I started going to a different church, but I still like midnight services on Christmas Eve. I think that's really special.
How do you feel when you come out of the service?
I feel blessed. You know, I feel more spiritual, more like God's perhaps closer to me when I go to the service. I think that's what church is for me. It's an opportunity to be in a quiet space and talk to God and listen for God, listen to what God wants me to know for my life. And this Christmas time of going to church, especially the midnight masses or the midnight services at various churches, um, it kind of makes me feel more closely connected, even though I'm connected. God and I have conversations every day, but I just feel that more of a spiritual energy at that time.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I feel like the peace and love energy rises because a lot of miracles happen around Christmas, and it's usually the time of the year when we are broke, you know. But there is always someone covering for your expenses or paying your rent or sending a gift you didn't expect it, and then it's sometimes you'll get a gift and you're thinking, "Oh my God, I didn't think of this person," so and I now I need to buy something. But then
Yeah.
it's closed, you know, stores are closed, so you have like nowhere to go unless you have it at home handy. But yeah, you'll see surprises around this time of the year.
Well, I think miracles happen every day if we're open to them. And, you know, just the miracle of being healthy is amazing. As you know, I went through cancer about 9 years ago, and just the fact that I'm alive every day makes me pretty excited because that was a traumatic experience, and the fact that I'm healthy, and that especially right now when this COVID thing is out there and so many people are depressed and so many people are sick and going to the hospital and so on. And I think those of us who are somewhat healthy, we just need to be really thankful that we are healthy, do what we can for the people who aren't as healthy as we are. And, you know, when you do something for somebody else, you get outside of yourself. I have one friend, Anita, who she collects socks for the homeless. That's every Christmas. That's a big thing for her. She collects socks, and so I try to make a donation for her every year so she can buy, you know, 10 or 20 pairs of socks for homeless people, because I don't have family to buy presents for like I did growing up. You know, we made presents and bought presents, and I don't have that. So I think it's important to help people who are in need of something, you know, to give something to them. And if we don't have money to give to them, sometimes we could just make them a meal, or we could make some muffins or some cookies or something and give to the homeless, you know, something that makes them know that somebody is aware that they're still here and that they're alive. But also there are a lot of elderly people who are alone, you know, like either in assisted living or nursing homes or even in their own homes. And, if we can just find out who some of those people are and just drop them by a plate of cookies or something, it'll make them feel like somebody cares. Because, and if you're alone, if you're by yourself and you're lonely, you have to learn to reach out. You can't sit there at home and just be feeling depressed and sad and get more and more depressed because nobody cares about you and nobody comes by. Do something for someone else. Get up off your duff and do something, because that's what makes you feel better. I mean, I'm alone here. I could just sit here and feel sorry for myself and say, I don't know why my marriage didn't work out. I don't know why I didn't have kids. I don't know why I didn't die 9 years ago. But, I don't want to do that. Every day that we're alive, there's a reason for us being alive. God's not through with us yet. There's something we're supposed to be doing. And so we need to make an effort to do something every day to make God say, yep, I'm glad she's still there. I'm glad he's still there. I knew there was something else they had to do. And so that's kind of how I live my life is I just try to make people feel included and feel good about themselves and know that they do have a purpose. They do have a reason for being here. And we have to get our thinking around to that. We want to think positive. We need to say affirmations. I say affirmations every morning. I get up and I do my prayer, and then I tell God what I need, and I tell God a lot of stuff. I'm very bossy. I'm very bossy with God, and God tells me a lot of stuff too. He tells me to straighten up quite often. But after I do my prayer, then I do my affirmation. So the affirmation goes like this: I'm powerful and effective. I'm good at what I do. People like me. I like people. Today is going to be a wonderful day. Today, miracles are going to happen all around me. And then I usually end it with, I look good, I feel good, yay me. But the I write affirmations as well, and I put them on my Facebook group. I have a Facebook group called the Achieve More Method, and anyone can join it. And I put affirmations on there every day for people so they can read them. And I want them to read where it says, I believe in myself. I'm a precious person. I'm good looking. I'm smart. I'm intelligent. I have a great life. Everything I want is coming to me. My life is abundant. So I write those affirmations and I write them to put them down for other people. But at the same time I'm writing them, I'm believing them for my own self. Affirmations don't work unless you believe them. And you have to believe in the affirmation. So when you say prosperity is coming to me, you have to believe that prosperity is coming to you. When you say I have lots of friends, you have to believe you have lots of friends, and that means you've got to be a friend to get a friend. And so I just really believe that people should do affirmations every single day of their life, and especially at this time when that perhaps like me, their loved ones are all gone, they don't have anybody, they're feeling kind of depressed, they wish that they had somebody to spend time with. That's the time really to do the affirmations, and that's the time to get up and go to church or to take a plate of cookies over to your neighbors or something. Do something. Don't just sit there and feel sorry for yourself. I used to have a sister that would sit in this blue chair. She had a big blue chair, and she would sit in that blue chair day after day and read her books and just read one book after another and feel bad because she was all alone and she didn't have anyone to spend time with. And I would force her to get up and go places, to get up and do something, to get up and come, to cook something, to make something to take to someone. And she would get so angry with me because she was happy just to sit in that chair and feel sorry for herself. Well, other people don't feel sorry for us. We can feel sorry for ourselves all we want, but other people don't like to be around people who feel sorry for themselves. They don't want to hear all that negativity and all that depression. And so that's why they end up by themselves, because they wallow in it. So you have to quit wallowing and just get busy and do something happy and pleasant. Sing Christmas carols to yourself, for goodness sakes.
Do you have a Christmas carol you want to sing to us?
No, I don't want to be singing where people hear me.
Why not?
Yeah, I don't have the voice. I'm out of practice. But I've always loved Christmas stories, the stories behind things, the story behind the poinsettia and how the poinsettia became the Christmas flower, or the story behind the Christmas tree, how it came about. And my favorite is the story of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And it's because Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, was actually created in the Montgomery Ward department store. There was a man at Montgomery Ward's that used to create coloring books for children. And at Christmas time, he created a coloring book with a reindeer in it, and he gave him a red nose. And he wrote this little kind of story to go with this coloring book. And then the person who supported the department that did that at the Montgomery Ward store told them they should do something about it. And they ended up writing a song called Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And they tried to get a lot of people to record it. And many, many people wouldn't record it until Gene Autry came along, and he recorded it kind of like a country song. And the song is still popular today. And that's got to be 50 or more years ago, that happened. And so many people, they hear that song, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, they have no idea, that Rudolph was created in the advertising department at the Montgomery Ward's department store. And so I always think that those kinds of things are really interesting. And I put out a book called Choices Magazine, and every year about this time, I try to put one of those stories in the magazine. I do some sort of research about something having to do with Christmas to give people the background. I really like background stories on how things come about.
That's awesome. I think it's interesting and it helps people learning, and it would probably give someone ideas to create on their own.
Oh, yes. And the thing is, we're all creative. We can all, we've created our lives. You and I, we've created our life. All the decisions that we've made, it's brought us to right here where we are now. We can't blame anybody else.
Yeah.
We chose what we did to get here. And so we can choose differently. We have the right to choose differently. So if we're home by ourselves over this Christmas time, maybe we want to design some Christmas cards, or maybe write a Christmas poem, or maybe write a song or some music, or, make a doily, or make a tablecloth, or, do something that's creative, or we can use our hands and use our mind. And I mean, even if it's just get a coloring book and color the pictures, that's fun. As you know, Maria, I teach art, and each year in my art classes, I have my students design a Christmas card. They paint their own Christmas card, and they use it to send out to their friends that year. And people love to get those personal Christmas cards, the ones that they've made themselves, rather than just going out and buying one. Yes, it's nice to buy a nice card with a nice verse, but how much more fun to get a card that someone's actually drawn and painted and made for you. That's exciting.
Yeah, that should be a valuable gift. You don't want to put it anywhere where you will lose it. It's something I think people will constantly put back on the tree and just have it as a happy memory. Someone created for them.
Yeah, I'm starting to teach online classes in art, and I'm thinking that next, around November, I'll start teaching people how to make their own Christmas cards. How to design them and draw them and paint them and everything for next year. So I'm trying to make a plan now of what I'm going to do throughout the year, what I'm going to teach each month, so that people will be able to come online and paint with me, and then they'll have a creation of their own that they can give to other people.
Yeah, that would be very interesting, because if you make it seasonal, it will always work according to what they need.
Yes.
And it's different themes they can work on to learn.
Right, exactly. Because to paint a Christmas tree it's not all that easy, but it's not all that hard either. And if you can learn to paint a Christmas tree, you can paint another tree at another time during the year. So yes, whatever you learn, anytime we learn something, it's something that can never be taken away from us. I always feel like we should invest in ourselves. We should invest in our own education, invest in any kind of learning, because nobody can take that away from you. Once you've learned something, you have that in your mind and in your head, and you can just go forward and do great things. And that's one of the things I always admire about you. You're always learning something. I watch you on the internet, and you have all kinds of different shows. It's amazing. And now you're doing this Christmas show because you wanted people to have something happy to watch and to view. And I think that is so neat of you to do that. It's fun.
Thank you, Judy. It's just creating different outlets, where people can connect different teams and also for different reasons. It's just
Right.
giving us more chances to share our message. It's basically what it is, sharing your message, and everyone has a different concept. And we can, take advantage of technology, basically now that is the most that we're using right now. And just put it out there for people that don't know how to make it, and they can just play the button. And it'll give them
Exactly.
ideas too.
Exactly. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, the creativity part is something we can always explore. And anywhere you go, it just opens new doors to other possibilities. And
It
yeah.
certainly does. I think one of the things I really miss now that I don't have a lot of family is wrapping the Christmas presents. That was always the fun thing was we always did jokes, like we would get somebody a little present and we
Mhm.
would wrap it up and then we would put it in another bigger box and we would wrap that, put it in a bigger box and sometimes put them in 6 or 7 bigger boxes until you got the big box wrapped, and then it was always fun to watch the person who got this big box unwrap it and find another box and another box and another box until they finally got to their present. I love those kinds of things. They're fun to do.
That sounds like a movie scene, or like a comedy show where they just keep on opening, and then at the end is like a little gift that they're playing with, and it's just unexpected.
Yeah, we used to do those kinds of things. It was amazing, and I always loved it. And like I said, after World War II, when I was a child, um, we had to save our wrapping paper because you couldn't just go out to the store and buy some the next year. So every year when we got through with all the wrapping paper, we had to be very careful to open the packages a certain way. You didn't just rip them open like people do now. We would take the tape off careful and we would do it, and then we would iron the paper. We would actually fold up the paper, we'd iron it and then fold it up or roll it up and put it away so that we had it for next year. And the same thing with all those blasted icicles that we put on the tree. We had to take them off one by one by one and very carefully lay them out so they wouldn't get tangled up. And invariably by next year, they would somehow tangle themselves up. And then we would have to string them all out one by one before we put them on the tree. I'm so glad we don't put those things on trees anymore. They drove me nuts.
No, you just have to struggle with the lights, when they tangle up, and then you have to separate them and
Yeah.
place them where you want to place them.
Yes, that's why I bought a tree. A couple of years ago, I bought an artificial tree, which is unusual for me because I love the real trees, but I don't like the idea of chopping them down. I'm not into cutting trees. I used to buy them in a pot so that they could be planted after Christmas was over. But now I have this artificial tree that looks like a real tree, and it comes in 3 parts, and it's got the lights already on it. So all you have to do is plug one section of the tree into the other section and then they all light up, and it's so exciting because you're not having to mess with those strings of lights. I remember we used to have to put a light bulb in and turn it and see if it worked or not, and if one didn't work, maybe the whole string wouldn't work, and so you had to try every single one with a new bulb until you could find out which one was burnt out. And I hated that. It was just a lot of work, but I made it easy for myself now. But I think one day, what I haven't done yet, and one day I will, I've not decorated the outside of my house. When I was a kid growing up, one of the things we would do on Christmas Eve before it was late, before Santa came, or maybe my dad would take us out while my mom waited for Santa at home to let him in. Then we would go and we would drive around the city and we would drive around and see all other people's lights, how they decorated their house, how they decorated their yard. And my dad seemed to always know all the right streets, and he would take us and we would drive all over and look at the lights. And a couple years ago, I was up in Wenatchee, Washington at Christmas time. And my friends drove me over to a town called Leavenworth. And it was snow. It had a lot of snow on the ground. And Leavenworth is like a little Bavarian village. And they had the whole town decorated for Christmas. I mean, it was a magical village. It was amazing. And it brought back all those memories of riding with my mom and dad, or my dad and my sister and brothers, in that car, all bundled up in your coat, going around looking at all the decorations. So maybe one year soon I'll decorate the outside of my house so other people can drive around and look at it.
Yeah, it's really fun. We were driving with Alex the other day. We went to visit a friend and we got lost on the way back. So when we got lost, we got into this street. And there was a house that had even Christmas lights on their cars parked in there.
Oh my goodness.
So it looked like a movie scene, it was just beautiful. So we kept driving around and he was just very excited to
Oh, I bet.
how everyone did it.
Yeah. See, I think part of that decoration is for the kids. It's so exciting to watch the kids get excited. That's what's fun, is to see them love the spirit of Christmas.
Yeah, I have to take him tonight again because that I told him I will take him yesterday, but my sister came to visit, so we didn't do it. And he said, "You know what you promised?" I said, "No."
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so then I told him, "Well, we'll go tomorrow." So I have to take him today.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, just making those memories, Judy. It is important. He will be someone who will be talking about it, years from now.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. What do you remember from your best Christmas ever?
Well, I remember going up with my mom to the trucks where they had people representing, like Virgin Mary and the baby and all that. So there was a lot of, at least I'll say like 5 to 10 trucks that they will do on Christmas Eve. So she will tell us, you have to tell your boyfriends they have to go. So they have to leave by 10 o'clock. And then we will get to the center of the city. And so we will go with her. It was 6 of us, my sisters and her. So we will be like holding my mom. You know how you hold like each
Hmm.
other in a line?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
with your elbows like that. So we will be like walking in a line and we will be following those trucks around. It went from the center of the city to another church that was closer to home. So while you're walking along, there is music playing. There is a band, that is
How
playing.
fun. That
Yeah.
sounds really, really fun.
And then
Yeah.
you sing like the chorals, the cars sing the chorals. So they like
Uh-huh.
tap and make a presentation. And then when they're done, they keep on driving, but the band is, playing live.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
I know I've been in Mexico a couple times around Christmas time, and one of the things I remembered most, I can't remember the name of the town. It was a little town up in the mountains, about halfway between Puerto Vallarta and Mexico City. Cuernavaca, is there a town called
Cuernavaca.
Cuernavaca? Yeah, and I think that's where it was. And all the people had made these carvings of nativity scenes, and they brought them to the village square, and they had like a contest of who made the best nativity scene, and there were like hundreds of them, and they had them all out in the square at the market, and it was amazing to see those. In fact, we bought a couple. I still have them at my house to this day because I love them so much. And then another thing I saw down there that I loved was in Puerto Vallarta. They made a huge Christmas tree out of the poinsettias, the poinsettia plants. They had them just stacked, all the way from the top to the bottom, and it looked like a Christmas tree, but it was those red flowers, and it was amazing. Those are the kind of memories I have that I just go, wow, I'm so glad I got to see that. I'm so glad I was a part of that.
Yeah, it's just I think Mexico is pretty much about religion, but when those times come around, people get together, and it's just such a joy, Judy, that you want to have with your family. My mom loved to cook, so but also like these are the times like when we didn't have dinner at home, we will go and buy because there is so much you can buy and it's so cheap. They have those little carts with everything. So once you got
Yes.
to the church where the carts or the trucks will stop. There was a lot of food in there, so everybody will sit like just on the concrete on the sidewalks, and everybody is eating. You will go and buy whatever you want, and it's just
Yes.
that and eat it. And soon enough, it's a lot of trash on the floor. I don't know why they didn't place, many trash cans, but someone will clean, the following day early.
Yeah.
But it's just such a joy because people will dance on the streets and they will just hug each other. And it's what I remember is people laughing, just like having a good time. And we went there till like past midnight, probably around like 1 in the morning. Then we'll go home.
Yes. Yes. But in Mexico, it always seems like Christmas is a real happy time. It, every time I've been there at Christmas time, it just seems like it's a happy time for everybody.
Well, you
Really.
know what it is? I remember when I was little, most people don't have money to buy outfits quite often. So sometimes they only buy outfits 2 times a year. So the one time was in May when we had like the party for they will do celebration of the town. The
Like for Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, no, well, this was May, so this was so the one saint they're celebrated
Mm,
at our church, so that's like
yeah.
the town celebration. So once that was in May 25th, so that was the only time you bought a new outfit. And then the
Mm,
next time was Christmas Eve.
Christmas.
You have like one or two. So sometimes, for poor people, that was the only way where they felt like they had a new outfit, like shoes
Yeah.
and everything. So it was like, I think it was because they felt rich in a way, and also were regardless if they didn't have money throughout the month of the year, they had money that night to buy whatever it is that they needed. And I think
Yeah.
it made people feel fortunate.
Yes. Yes. And it's a celebration.
It is. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's when
Yeah. I've always loved it. I've been to Mexico. My home was 9 miles from the Mexican border, so I went to Mexico a lot when I was younger, and I've just always really enjoyed the Mexican people and the culture and the parades and the piñatas and all the things that they would have to celebrate with. It always was very exciting to me.
Yeah, it's back then, when I used to live was different. Now it's kind of violent and different, but back then I think it was more peaceful. Whenever
Mhm.
you hear the ambulance or someone kill another was like, rare. You didn't see that happening much. I don't know now how can they I don't understand how they got used to the way it is right now. I think any event happens gradually when you kind of adjust to that. I just don't see how like my mom can live there that way, and all of them I have like young nieces and nephews and little ones that are growing in that and thinking that is normal, and it's just sad that it's the way it is.
Yeah, yeah. The world has changed a great deal,
Yeah,
and
but
we have to adjust.
yeah, I think they probably found their way to find happiness within the situation that they're dealing, basically the way things are now.
Well, and that's what we were talking about earlier is no
Yeah.
matter what the situation is, you have to find your own happiness. You have to go inside and pull out that strength that you have and do something positive so that you can be happy because your life is your own responsibility, and that's what you have to do. I was fortunate my parents taught me that because I've grown up and I've spent a lot of time by myself in different countries. I've been alone by myself in another country and on holidays. I've been alone in countries where I was quite scared for my physical safety as well. And you just have to remember that God is there with you, and you either have faith or you have fear. You can't have both at the same time. If you have faith, you don't have fear. And so that's one of the things I like so much about so many of the Mexican people is their faith is amazing. I remember the first time I was down there and I saw people crawling on their hands and knees to the stations of the cross,
Yeah.
to the different places, and they were bleeding and they were, like
Yeah.
walking these stations of the cross or crawling, and I was like, why are they doing that? And my friend said it's because of their faith. They're showing their faith in God and that everything's going to be fine. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. But that's one of the things I've loved about Mexico is the incredible faith that so many people have. And anywhere we go, like when I lived in Africa, there were so many wonderful African people that had so much faith, and the little churches, they would have church outdoors. They didn't have a building. They would all go and meet under a tree, and they would sing. And sometimes you would see in a park, you would see 4 or 5 groups of people in different places, singing and worshiping, and those were like different churches, different denominations, different faiths, and they would all be out there singing and happy, and I loved it. I just thought it was wonderful.
Yeah, the reunion is just the ability to share with each other, Judy, and
Yes,
they're not thinking about who's watching. They're just enjoying themselves.
yes, yes. That's what we have to learn to do. We have to learn to be happy every day, and especially this time of year. It's this year is probably going to be real lean for a lot of people that they're not used to because they've been out of work, or they've lost their homes, or um, they couldn't find another job, or somebody's been sick, or a few people have died. This year is going to be a tough year for a lot of people, and I just want them to remember that there's a reason for everything that happens, and that there's a better tomorrow, and we're going to get through this period of time. We've just got to try to be as positive as we can be during these hard times, and just think of what we've got, because there are people in the world that have it a lot worse than we do.
Yeah.
And so we just have to remember we have so much. And the fact that some of us have a roof over our head, and we have a car, and we have food to eat and clothes to wear, I mean, that is a blessing. A lot of people in the world don't have those things. And so, we just have to keep remembering that all of these things are miracles. The fact that we can walk, the fact that, that we're still abundantly healthy, um, that's a miracle. That's a miracle. So we've got to look at those things and say, okay, I'm blessed. I'm blessed, and it's a good year.
Yes, definitely. We have a lot, Judy. It's just I think that us being used to have a lot, it makes us think that we probably need more. That if we like really look at all that we have more than what we need. We have more than enough.
We do.
Like
We really
the
do.
title of your book, right?
Yes, yes. Yeah, you are more than enough. And we are.
Yes, we just have to believe it
Exactly.
and help
Exactly.
others believe that they're more than enough too.
Well, this has been fun.
Thank you so much, Judy. Thank you for being a part of this. And
Well,
we're
you're
hoping
welcome. You got me to go back down memory lane in my mind, and think about all of those wonderful Christmases I had in all those other places, as well as my childhood, which was fabulous because I had great parents. And so you've really kind of helped me get more into the Christmas spirit here by doing this show. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
you're welcome. Thank you so much, Judy.
Bye.
Bye.